Alrighty, it's the final winning formula for the 2021 season. A happy new year to you. I'm Paul Allen. We thank Ron Johnson for filling in for Ben Lieber this week. And Gabe Henderson with the Vikings Entertainment Network also joins us for the winning formula that is provided by the Minnesota Lottery. Thank you very much, Minnesota Lottery, because indeed we all are in. Let's begin like this with Ron. The Minnesota Vikings into the final game of the season. Well, we're 7-9. No playoffs, sadly. What is the winning formula, Mr. Ron Johnson, for making this game at US Bank Stadium super fun for the fans?
Well, when you look at offensive coordinators around the NFL, and so let's go to the Tennessee Titans, Arthur Smith. They were the number 2 team for shifts and motions pre-snap for the last 2 years before he moved over to the Falcons. He goes to the Falcons. What happens? He adds a dynamic guy in Cordell Patterson, who Vikings fans are familiar with. Cordell Patterson ends up with 11 total touchdowns with 1 game to go, which is more than Tyreek Hill. So what do you do if you're the Vikings? Motion, shift, use a guy by the name of Kene Nwangwu. You also have a guy by the name of Justin Jefferson. Move those guys around. Just see what happens to this Bears defense, what the linebackers do, what the safeties do, because you can use that knowledge to build on to 2022.
That was nice, Gabe.
Yeah, and I think just for this game alone, just take some shots. Maybe throw a couple of reverses, some receiver passes. Do something that we haven't done all season long, and which is open up the playbook a little bit more. We have nothing to lose. You got one more game left in the season, and you got a few receivers that probably want to throw a few passes. Maybe put some guys on defense that haven't played so far yet this season. There will be a lot of opportunities for these guys to make plays. I know the starters will play a lot, but more importantly, if we do go up by a lot, put us some other guys that can go out there and make some fast plays and have some fun with it.
Brilliant. I'd like to add, remember when we drafted Brian O'Neill and he was lauded as this pass-catching tight end / offensive lineman? How about we throw a pass to Brian O'Neill? Why not?
Why not?
We did it to Garrett Bradbury last week.
Yeah, right, yeah. And he ended up having at one point he had the longest reception in the game, but that was negative. So that's a conversation for another day. Gabe Henderson. The Minnesota Vikings have missed the playoffs in the 2021 season. That's not preferred, but there have been winning formulas to the season. Please share some.
Well, the easiest thing to start off with is Justin Jefferson. His 2,900 yards is the most in the last 2 seasons out of any NFL wide receiver in the past 2 years. You got Dalvin Cook, Brian O'Neill, Ezra Cleveland. Brian O'Neill hasn't given up a sack since last season.
Whoa.
Ezra Cleveland hasn't given up a sack since week 1. Those are 2 guys that you can build your run game on, because you got Dalvin Cook that will be back in the next couple of years. And then you got not Oli Udoh, but Christian Darrisaw, who also is becoming a staple at that left tackle. So you have the weapons on offense. And then on defense, Eric Kendricks. He's a guy, he's had 100 tackles the last 6 seasons. He's the Energizer Bunny of this defense. And he has saved us so many times, including this Green Bay Packers game last week, where you saw A.J. Dillon or Aaron Jones getting to the second level, but they couldn't get past Eric Kendricks. So those are 4 or 5 guys right there that we continue to have a winning formula going into next season.
What do you think, Ron?
I think for Kirk Cousins, you have to look at what he was good at. What is that? Getting out of the pocket, finding open guys downfield in the 50-50 balls to Justin Jefferson. One of the best he's thrown this season was in that Packers game. Threw it before Justin was even open. You look at also the first 7 minutes of every single game for about 14 weeks. Kirk Cousins was the number 1 quarterback in the NFL over Tom Brady, over Russell Wilson, over everybody that you love. Take your guy, what he's good at, and utilize it. Kirk Cousins has a strong arm, he has a big arm, but he also needs to feel protected. I think those winning, and then Justin Jefferson, he's the number 2 receiver in the NFL for most of the season behind Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp. I think all three of those guys are 1, 2, and 3. Keep going to him. Justin Jefferson is unguardable at most points in the game.
Predictions to close winning formula. Predictions. Ron, you're on fire. Why don't you start?
Prediction for the Bears game?
Yeah, wacky prediction, just top of the head. Just go ahead and give it to us.
So I think Bears game, you have to look at what Akeem Hicks can do. You got to run away from that guy. I don't care how good you think you are. I don't care how strong you think you are. He is a massive human being. You have to get him moving laterally, because he doesn't do that well. Going forward, he's the juggernaut. We know we have one too, but he is another one. You have to move laterally. I think Dalvin Cook on the outside, but also screen game away from Akeem Hicks. That's what my prediction is. Justin Jefferson, I think he's going to be on another big game, because he is still in the run to break some more records.
Akeem Hicks in his 10th year from Regina. still bringing it strongly. Gabe, your prediction?
Well, earlier before I talked about having some fun and getting some players in there to make some splash plays. And I think one thing that we can do this week is get Kene Nwangwu his first rushing touchdown of the season. This Bears defense, including Hakeem Hicks, has given up 340 rushing yards on the ground the past 2 weeks. So there will be opportunities for us to make some plays down the field in the run game. I know Dalvin Cook will get the start, but I think if we get up early, Kene Nwangwu, first rushing touchdown, and he's loose. PA, I expect your call.
Yeah, I'd like to get an and he's loose this year. That'd be cool. We haven't had many get loose for those long ones, if any. My prediction, speaking of Justin Jefferson, is with all due respect to Randy Moss, the greatest receiver in the history of Minnesota Vikings football, JJ is going to take down another one of your records, Mr. Super Freak. He is 124 yards from the single season receiving yards record established by said freak in 2003. Here comes JJ, and there goes a record. Ron, thank you very much for the assistance. Likewise for Gabe Henderson for Vikings.com. And don't forget all off-season to stay with Vikings.com, specifically with post-season reviews and interviews up to free agency and all the way through the draft. Michael Harris, Curly Harris, excellent work producing Winning Formula all season. And I'm Paul Allen. Thanks for watching.